Hi guys, it's Miss Lee. I'm sorry I couldn't be there today, but I did want to go over the homework from over the weekend. You were supposed to complete the Decimal Division 1 homework page. I just want to work a few of the problems to make sure you're understanding how to do decimal division. And if you do, great. Then you can check the couple of answers that we're doing and you can turn it in. If you didn't, hopefully this will help you and you can work on it tonight along with tonight's homework and turn it in tomorrow. So here we go. Remember the first number in our expression, this is our dividend. This is the amount that we want to split up that we're going to share. And we're dividing by 4/10. This is our divisor. And we can only have whole number divisors. It's what we talked about on Friday. So we need to change our divisor into a whole number because it currently is not a whole number. And to do that, we learned we just move the decimal point to the right until it becomes a whole number. In this case, we only need to move it one place. Then we have to do the same thing to our dividend. We have to move that decimal place the same number of places, 1. So our new decimal will be between the 6 and the 8. So we're going to rewrite our expression, and this time it's going to be 36 and 8/10 divided by 4. Now we have a whole number divisor, so we can do our division. We're going to set it up. The dividend, the first number, is what goes inside the house. The divisor is the second number. It goes outside the house. And it's going to be easy for us to divide because our divisor is now a whole number. First thing I want to do is bring the decimal point straight up to my answer line. Make it nice and big. And as a reminder, for every digit inside the house, you need to have a digit above it on the answer line. So 4. Can we make a group of 4 out of 3? No. So I'm going to put a 0 above the 3. Now I'm going to look at 36. Yes, 4 goes into 36 9 times, which is 36. So I subtract 0 remainder. We still have a digit here, this 8, so we're going to bring it down. How many times will 4 go into 8? 2 times, which is 8. 0 remainder. We're done dividing. So our answer, and it's a good idea to rewrite your answer and to put a circle around it or a box around it. Our answer is 9 2/10. Pretty easy, right? Okay, number 2. Which one is our divisor? The 3/10. Is it a whole number? No. So we need to turn it into a whole number, move that decimal point over. In this case, we only need to move it over once. We have to do the same thing to our dividend. Move the decimal point over once. Rewrite your problem. It now becomes 8 7/10 divided by 3. Set it up. The 8 7/10 goes inside the house. The 3 goes on the outside. It is a whole number divisor, so we can bring this decimal point straight up to our answer line, and we're ready to divide. How many groups of 3 can we get from 8? How many times will 3 go into 8? 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6, subtract 2 remainder. Bring down the 7. How many times will 3 go into 27? 9 times, which is 27, and we have a 0 remainder. So our answer is 2 9/10. Make sure that you keep everything lined up nice and neat. That's going to help, because if you don't, you might get the 9 on the other side, the wrong side of the decimal point, where it would look like 29 instead of 2 9/10. Okay, now we're going to skip down to number 5. 46 divided by 65/100. This is our divisor. It is not a whole number, so we need to turn it into a whole number. We're going to move the decimal point. This time we're moving it 2 times. So we have to do the same thing with the 46. So I'm going to write it over here just because there's not enough room. Here's the 46. Remember, this is a whole number. We need to move the decimal point. Well, first we need to remember that the decimal point in a whole number is invisible. It really goes at the end. So this is the original decimal point. Now we're going to move it once, 2 times to the right, just like we did for the divisor. I have 2 empty holes, 2 empty spaces. We fill those in with zeros. So rewrite our problem. It becomes 4,600 divided by 65. Now you're ready to do the math. So the 4,600, the dividend, the first number goes inside, 65 goes on the outside. So our decimal point for the 4,600 is now right here. So I'm going to bring it straight up to my answer line. Okay, will 65 go into 4? No. So we put a 0 above the 4. Will 65 go into 46? Can we make a group of 65 from 46? No. So we have to put a 0 above the 6. So now we're looking at 460. We need to figure out how many times will 65 go into 460. Some of you may do the guess and check, and that's fine. You can also just add them up. 65 plus 65 is 130. Okay, so this is one 65. This is two 65s. Can add another 65. I get 5, 195. So that's three 65s. Not enough, so I keep adding. Add another 65, 10, 1, 10, 16, 1, 260. So that makes four 65s. It's still not enough. So I'm going to add another 65. 5, 12, 300. That wasn't a very good 2, was it? 325. So that makes 5 65s. Still not enough. Add another 65. 10, 9, 390. Still not enough. That's 6 of them. So we add another 65. And we get 5, 15, 455. If I add another 65, it's going to go too high. So we're going to stick with the 455, which happens to be 7. So put the 7 here. And you see, I did not keep it lined up very nicely, did I? So let me redo that. The 7 goes above this 0. And you can double check your math. 7 times 5 is 35. Carry 3. 42 plus 3 is 45. Subtract, I have a 5 remainder, but I have this 0. I can bring it down. Can we make a group of 65 out of 50? No, we can't. So 0 goes above that 0. And we're not done. A lot of students want to stop because you're used to stopping from elementary school and putting remainder 50. But we're now working with parts, and we can keep dividing. And to do that, we add a 0 and we bring it down. So now we have 500. So if I go across and I look, I can see that I can do 7 again. So I'll put a 7 above the 0. That was 455. Subtract 5. So I get 45. Add another 0, bring it down. Get 450. 455 is too much, so we're going to go with 6 of them. And we get 30, 390. Subtract 0. 15 minus 9 is 6. So I'm going to add another 0, bring it down. 600. So as you can see, this one is going to continue to divide. And I didn't tell you in the directions, and I should have, but we're going to go ahead and round it to the nearest tenth. So let me change colors here. Round to the nearest tenth place. So if we look, the tenth place is right here. So to round it, we have to look at the number behind it. If it's 5 or higher, we round the 7 to an 8. If it's less than 5, it stays a 7. In this case, it's a 6, so we're going to round up. So it's going to be 70 point, and the 7 rounds up to an 8. 70 and 8 tenths. So I apologize, I should have told you this before. So if you were dividing this and it kept going on and on and on, and you thought you were making a mistake, you weren't. Let's try the next one. So look at your divisor. It's not a whole number. So let's turn it into a whole number. 1, 2. Ooh, that's going to be a big one, 235. We have to move the decimal point and the dividend the same number of times, 1, 2. So our problem becomes 1,081 divided by 235. So let's set it up. 235 is our divisor. 1,081, and the decimal point would go here, is our dividend. Let's go ahead and bring this straight up, nice and big. Excuse me. Okay, 235 does not go into 1, so I'm going to put a 0. Now let's bring it to the 0. It does not go into 10, so a 0 goes above that 0. Let's go one more place, and 108 does not go into 108. Let's go one more place, 1,081. So I'm going to make my table over here, or my little chart. I don't know what you want to call it, a factor chart. So 235 plus 235. So it's going to be 10, carry a 1, 6 plus 1 is 7, so that's 470. So one factor of 235 is 235. Two factors are going to be 470. Not enough. Let's keep going. Let's add another 235. It's going to be 5, 10, carry a 1, 6 plus 1 is 705. So that's three factors. We can keep going. So we're going to add another 235. Wait, 10, 4, 940. Let's go another time. We're going to get 5, 7, 1175. So that's five factors. That's too much. So it's going to go in 4 times. So the 4 goes above the 1 and we multiply. We don't have to actually because it tells us right here it's 940. So we subtract 1. 8 minus 4 is 4, 10 minus 9 is 1. Okay, but we're not going to have a remainder. We're going to keep dividing. So we're going to add a 0, bring it down, 1,410. All right, I think we can add to our factors over here. Let's add another 235. It's going to be 10, carry 1, 10 plus 1 is 11, 2, 3, 4. That's 14, 10. That makes 6 of them. Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. So 6 of them, which is the 1,410. Now we have a 0 remainder. We're done. So our answer is going to be 4 6/10. So even though it looks like this is going to be difficult because it's a big divisor, 235, if you make your little factor chart like I did over here, where you're just adding them together, it makes the division really easy. Yes, it's going to take a little while, it's a little work, but it's not that difficult of work. Okay, I believe I told you to go ahead and skip 7 and 8, so let's look at number 9. A jet travels 4/10 miles for each gallon of fuel. It has enough fuel left to travel 14.5 miles. How many gallons of fuel does it have? All right, well, think about this. It has 14.5, it can travel 14.5 miles. So here's the 14.5 miles. And for every gallon, it travels 4/10. So it's like you can break this up. So this is 4/10. This is another 4/10. This is another 4/10, and so on. We want to know how many 4/10 are in 14.5. So this 14.5 is our total. So let's write our expression. The total goes first. That's our dividend. And we're going to divide it by this part, 0.4, or 4/10. This is the size of our groups. We want to know how many groups. All right, then we just do the same thing we've been doing. This is a decimal divisor. Can't have it. Change it to a whole number. Move it one place over. Then you have to do the same thing to the dividend. Now our expression becomes 145 divided by 4. And we can do the math. Here's the 145. Let's divide it by 4. The decimal point and a whole number goes at the end. We'll go ahead and bring it up. 4 does not go into 1, so we're going to put a 0. 4 will go into 14 3 times, which is 12. Subtract 2 remainder, bring down the 5. 4 goes into 25 6 times, which is 24. Subtract 1 remainder. We're not going to leave it at a 1 remainder. We're going to keep dividing. Add a 0, bring it down. 4 goes into 10 twice, which is 8. Subtract 2 remainder. Let's do another 0, bring it down, and we have 20. 4 goes into 20 5 times, which is 20. Now we have a 0 remainder. So our answer is going to be 36 25 gallons. If this is going too fast for you, then just pause the video. Okay, and then you're going to work the next one on your own. Hopefully you already have it done. But if you were confused at all about the homework or you didn't get to finish it, you can go ahead and work on it again tonight, and it'll be due on Tuesday along with the Decimal Division 2 worksheet.